and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here. So today we are going to be doing MLM horror stories. This is a series that I've had on my channel for a very long time, and I don't think I've talked about it in a while, but the big reason why I love to do this series is because it really allows me to give a voice to a group of people that may not feel they have a voice, and that's always been one of my missions on YouTube and just talking about MLMs is I want to give a voice to those who have been in MLMs or had interactions with MLMs, whether they were good or especially if they were bad, because a lot of people are scared. They're scared to come out and tell their stories. They're scared to put themselves out there. So a lot of these stories are generally anonymous. So if you want to send me your anonymous MLM horror story, I have my email down below for you to send it to me. And don't be nervous. I can blur your name. I cannot blur your name, whatever it is that you want. But I really wanted to reiterate, because this is number 22, horror story 22, which is insane. That means we've been doing MLM horror stories for 22 weeks. Oh my gosh, or over 22 weeks. So it's been a very long time. And I hope that you guys still enjoy this series and it's like hearing people's stories because they're super important and it's important that we get that message out there. So we are back to regular programming. I don't think that I've had my coffee in a video in a long time because of moving and everything like that. So I am very excited. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your Gatorade, grab whatever it is that you need, grab your popcorn, and let's get into today's MLM horror stories. Okay, so the first one is a very long one, and all she said was, "This is my MLM horror story." She said, "Hey Deanna girl, I recently discovered your anti-MLM videos not too long ago. You can use my name, it doesn't matter. Also, this might be a little long. So my name is Amy, and I am currently 22 years old. When I was 19 years old, I worked at a Sarku, Japan. I was a cashier and also had the same customers. I was good at remembering people. There were the fitness trainers that would come in all the time to order some food, and he always filled up his gallon of water at the soda fountain. One day he came in talking on the phone. He seemed like a very busy man. I thought he had hella clients to train since he trained at the gym across the street from us. Anyway, after he finished talking on the phone, he asked me if I liked my job. In confusion, I answered him, quote unquote, "Not really. The manager here is kind of mean." My manager was very mean and liked to humiliate people in front of others. But I like my team. They made things better for me, and we all had fun working together. Back to the fitness trainer. He asked me if I was interested in going to a seminar for a better job opportunity. He gave me like this flyer type of thing and where it was located. He told me to invite some friends and it would be a great quote-unquote opportunity. I say it in quotes because at the time I didn't know much about pyramid schemes or MLMs and their tactics. I called one of my closest friends at the time and told her about it. And I also told one of my coworkers, to which he said I should go because it could be better than working where I currently was working. This fitness trainer, let's call him David. So David told me he owned his own business and that he was also an investor. He told me he looked forward to seeing me at the seminar and that he only offers this opportunity to people one time, and after that he'll never do it again. So in my mind I was like, this is a really great opportunity for me. I could be in a better position to make more money, possibly even get my own place. A few days went by and it was a meeting right after my shift. I get to the location and look for the building that says Nevetica. I am horrible at pronouncing some of these like MLM names. I saw that the sign had a dog on it and was a bit confused. I didn't really know what to expect. I go inside with my friend and she tells me it looks a bit sketchy, but I didn't really think it did. We signed in and wrote who referred us. David welcomed us and sat us at the very front. He and his wife were introducing all of these products for pets. Pet food, shampoos, things to make the pet smell go away, and many other things for pets. They talked about how these were great products and how they will sell out fast all across the country. They even had samples for us to smell and even had the founder/owner of Carolina Kitchen, Lance London, as a spokesperson. So I thought this was legit until I heard it was $800 to be in the company. $800, not $100, not $200, but $800. David throughout the seminar made it seem like he was the owner of this Nevetica company and really thought he was, or I really thought he was. But now that I know about MLMs and such, I decided to look at the company and who the founder is. And to my surprise, it was not David. Instead, it's Dr. Lance London, the founder of Carolina Kitchen. Yet, when you go to search for the founder, a white man shows up instead of Mr. London. However, on his Instagram, he talks about it and even calls the people in his business distributors. He even has a video and pictures of David that referred me. After this seminar was over, David introduced my friend and I to Mr. London and pulled all the people he asked to come to the side to have us download an app so that there could be a group chat. It was late as hell already, and I think it was about 4 hours long. Throughout the seminar, all you heard was, "Yes, sir," and it sounded so weird because the people would say it after he'd say something and they'd clap, question mark. After my friend and I left the meeting, she told me it seemed sketchy and she didn't have a good feeling about it. I told her that I didn't really know and that even if I wanted to invest in this, where the hell would I even get the $800 from if I only made minimum wage? I went home back to my regular lifestyle, and the following day, David called me to ask me if I was in or not. I told him I wasn't sure because it was a lot of money and I didn't have it, and still don't to this day have that much money for an investment of such. I had even spoke to my mom about it, and she told me that she didn't like the idea of it. David called while I was in the car with my mom, and she heard him speaking and told me to turn down the offer. I just told him I had to think about it. After that, I went back to work like a normal person and saw him come to my restaurant. Wouldn't bring up the company and thank God, but he would leave a really big mess on the table he was eating at with his kids. Mind you, it was my job to clean up. A few days later, I quit my job and went on a religious journey to Italy with my church and came back to my friend telling me it was all a scam, but because I didn't know the name, I didn't look into it until now that I've been getting anti-MLM videos suggested on my YouTube. And I'm glad I did, because then I wouldn't have been able to tell my story. Anyways, I love your videos and I'm too shy to start an anti-MLM channel or make videos because I don't have my own YouTube as well. But I don't even know where to start with my own anti-MLM videos. If you have any suggestions, please help. Anyways, take care and thank you for reading my story. Big yikes. So the biggest thing that sucks is, as we've seen, she wasn't in a good place with her work life. Her boss was being really disrespectful and really mean to the people that, you know, worked for him. And if you're in that type of situation where you want to get out and you're in a toxic environment, you're going to look for opportunities. So it makes sense why she would, you know, this person would even go to a 4-hour seminar about pet products, but it's because you believe it. Like, you want something else to happen. You kind of have that hope factor, like, oh my gosh, maybe this would work. So I'm really happy that she did not join, because $800 is a lot of money. And I feel like nowadays with MLMs, we don't really see the price be that high. Now, with a lot of MLMs, you can purchase like a big starter pack or a big package to join the MLM, but usually their starting cost is anywhere from like $200 and up. So it's usually not around $800 anymore like I feel it used to be. I feel like back in the day when MLMs really weren't talked about as much, there wasn't people doing anti-MLM content, things like that, and people weren't as educated on them. There were a lot of companies out there, I don't want to say any company names, but their investments would be like $5,000, $800, thousands and thousands of dollars, where you would have to invest into these companies. And I'm just so glad that we're now getting the word out on MLMs, or not now, it's been happening for years, that people have been getting the word out about MLMs, but that it's actually helping people look and, you know, see anti-MLM content or see Instagrammers or YouTubers talking about this to kind of get the word out. So I'm really happy about that. Also, I would just say my biggest tip for anyone who would want to do like anti-MLM videos, if you're really behind the mission of wanting to help individuals who are in MLMs or get the word out about MLMs, I say just start a channel. Start talking about it in your neighborhoods, in your cities. Start, you know, doing Instagrams, whatever it may be. Just do what you're most passionate about. If you're not passionate about video, there's a lot of other things you could do. There's Instagram individuals who do anti-MLM content or content speaking about MLMs. There are individuals who are out there in their city, in their country, trying to do better. I know the UK even has a petition going on right now to petition people to see if you want to keep MLMs in their country or not. So there are other things you can do out in the world if you're really, really, really passionate about spreading the word about MLM. So that would kind of be just my biggest advice. Just find what you're most interested in, whether that's Instagram, whether that's YouTube, whether that's just going out in your city and helping people. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Let me get a sip of coffee. And on to the next one. So this one says, my high school best friend is a Beachbody hair Okay, let's see what this is about. It goes, "Hi Deanna, here's a quick story for you about my high school best friend. Please don't share our names as I don't care to start drama with her. Fortunately, I've been able to avoid joining an MLM, but it's not for her lack of trying." This girl joined Beachbody about 5 years ago. At first, she was really reasonable with her posting and really did lose a bit of weight and get in fantastic shape. She was preparing for her wedding and she looked amazing on her wedding day and in her honeymoon photos. Fast forward a little while and she is obviously becoming desperate to get new clients and coaches under her. She is a hairdresser and has literally stated that her husband won't let her quit doing hair and do Beachbody full time, but she wants to prove him wrong. Let me just stop real quick. I do believe that Beachbody has great programs. Like, I will say it over and over again. I like their pre-workout. I like their programs. I don't purchase them just because you guys know I don't want to support a company like that, but I will say Beachbody programs can get you in good shape, especially if you're having a wedding coming up, which is why I really see them target individuals who have weddings, or they target people that they believe quote unquote should be losing weight, which is kind of sad. And then the whole proving wrong thing is very, very common. A lot of the times in the MLM, I have even sat in on trainings in Beachbody where uplines would say, "Oh, you need to prove them wrong. Your social media, if they don't believe you, prove them wrong. If your husband doesn't believe you, prove him wrong." So it gets them into this mindset of having to prove everybody wrong, which makes them go rogue. It makes them, you know, work 10 times harder, overwork themselves, and do things that they wouldn't do otherwise. So I just wanted to point that out so I didn't forget. She said, "I was fortunate to avoid getting asked to join her until April 15th, 2019. For some context here, I hadn't really maintained a friendship with her. We have some mutual friends and cross paths in the community every once in a while. I was invited to her wedding, and I sent her an invite to my wedding to avoid drama. But other than that, I have simply outgrown her and don't agree with what she's doing. And she hasn't maintained a relationship with me. When she sent these messages, we probably hadn't spoken since being a bridesmaid in a wedding together about 3 years earlier. I received this message during what I would say was the hardest week of my adult life. My husband and I lost our kitty unexpectedly about 4 days before she sent this message that I have down below. So we do have the proof. We do have the message and the screenshot, so we have some proof coming up at the end. She said, "It was heartbreaking and confusing. He was our first baby and was truly the most special kitty. We were completely devastated. I teach first grade, and while still trying to cope with the loss of our kitty, the day before she sent this message, one of my students had a 15-minute grand mal seizure in my arms. It was by far the most terrifying experience of my life. I couldn't do anything but hold her and wait for the paramedics to arrive and administer rescue medication. To make matters worse, the rest of my 25 first graders were in the classroom and witnessed the first minute or so of the seizure. They were scared and worried about their friend. After my student left in an ambulance, I had the most difficult conversation I've ever had with a group of 6-year-olds. It was terrifying, exhausting, and difficult to have to be brave for them when I was scared too. On top of those two events, my father-in-law had been scheduled for a kidney transplant the day after my student's seizure. After experiencing that traumatic event, I then had to leave my students for my scheduled 2-day absence to be with my husband's family. While sitting in the hospital waiting room, an hour away from home, waiting for my father-in-law to come out of surgery, exhausted, numb, and anxious, I received this message from her. In case my screenshots don't come through, it reads blank, so I'm not going to read it yet, but this was her response to her. She said, "I didn't respond because I didn't have the emotional energy." Not even 24 hours later, she was on her Instagram stories talking about how rude it is when people don't respond to her quote-unquote invitations. I know she was talking about me. She just continued to make a bad situation worse. I still continue to get message from her, and I continue to not respond. She's toxic, manipulative, and she continues to make people feel bad on social media when she has no idea what people are experiencing or going through. While I didn't lose money or get sucked into an MLM, I think it's important to shine light on how truly terrible these people can be in their everyday interactions. Thank you for all you do. So this was the message she received. I'm gonna pop the screenshot up here. It goes, "First off, I am so sorry to hear about your kitty. Second off, I have been thinking about doing this for a while, but haven't. I am just gonna ask, haha. Have you ever considered coaching like I do? I know it's super random, but I know you're such an amazing person with a big heart, and I've always loved sharing your life and setting a great example. I thought you would be amazing." Clearly, like, our friend who sent us this email said she didn't respond. So then the best friend messages her again and says, "Hey girlie, I wanted to follow up with you and see if you happened to have received my last message and give it any thought. If not, no worries if you don't want to, just wanted to ask. Chat soon." So first off, I want to say to this individual, I'm sorry, because that is so much. First, your animal dies, which animals are family, okay? My dog is like my child, and I couldn't imagine. I am so sorry that you lost your kitty. And then your student, I have actually, which I've never really talked about this before, but growing up, I was a counselor for kids. And in 2017, when my husband was overseas, I went back home to Florida and did some more counseling with kids, not like an actual therapist counselor, because people get confused, but like a counselor at a camp, right? And the same thing happened to me, where someone had a seizure, and the only thing that I could do was sit there, because there isn't really anything that you could do but maybe protect the person's head so they don't hit it or whatever it may be. You literally have to wait for the medication or for them to come out of their seizure. So for one, going through the trauma of your cat dying and then this happening and your father-in-law having to go through surgery, you know, that's a hard time. And that's a time where I want to surround myself with friends who are going to support me, friends who are going to be there and be like, are you okay? What do you need? I'm going to come over. I'm going to keep you company. Like whatever it may be, those are the kind of friends I want. So I find it sad. Oh, it's so sad, because I never want to talk bad about MLM reps, and you guys know that, but sometimes they are who they are, right? And they sit there and they don't care. She doesn't care about that person's cat dying, because if she did, then she wouldn't have done that. She wouldn't have messaged her, oh, I'm so sorry that your animal died, but do you want to join my MLM? No. But that girl is probably in that mindset of, I want to prove my spouse wrong. I want to make enough money to quit my job, that she doesn't care about other people's feelings, because she's just trying to prove her spouse wrong, which is super, super sad. And also, nobody has to respond to anybody's messages ever. So I know I've had, I think it was an MLM fails that I did in the past, where someone had said that we need to be responding to everyone who messages us, and we don't. No one has to respond to people if they don't want to respond. So it's just funny how MLM reps go on their social medias to talk shit essentially and say, if I invite you, like, why aren't you responding? How freaking rude. No, how rude of you to expect something out of everyone that you DM. Just stop. So thank you for sending me that one. That was a really hard one. I just hope that you're doing okay. And remember, guys, if you send me an MLM horror story, please tell me how you're doing now. Because a lot of times I'll get very just like sad, you know, emails of their experience. And I'm always curious how you're doing right now. Are you okay? You know, is your family okay? How are you coping? How long ago was this? So always remember to add in like a little snippet at the end of how you're doing now. So let's move on to the next MLM horror story. Okay, so this is a short story. She goes, this is a short story. I'm a nurse at a pain management center. This is about one of our former providers. Oh, she's about to spill some tea. We had a nurse practitioner, let's call her Pam, working for us. She was a young living hunt. Every day in her office, she used an oil diffuser with different oils every day. She didn't even stop when one of our nurses complained of migraines. Pam eventually quit, unrelated to the oils, but what we found out was so unethical for a healthcare provider was she was trying to recruit and sell to our patients, saying it would cure their pain. The worst part was she only hit up the patients she knew had money. They only told us after she quit because they were afraid to mention it. The worst part was it took our new provider months to get the funky smell out of Pam's old office. Thanks for listening. If you use this, don't use my name. Thanks. This type of has me always just feeling, okay, my blood boils because, if you are a legit, what was she? She was literally a pain management nurse practitioner working at a pain management center. And you're going to tell people who are hurting, who are struggling, who have pain, that they're gonna be cured with some MLM oils. I get it. You know, I get that oils can help a lot of people. I've used oils in the past. Like I've used like lavender oil, things that may help migraines because I have tried everything for migraines, okay? And to tell someone who's has a lot of pain or going to pain management, struggling with something like that, to tell them that these oils are going to cure them on top of only reaching out to people that you know have money is so messed up, so unethical. That person should literally be reported. I don't know how that works. Like if you have a nurse, can you like report them to a board? Any nurses or anyone who knows about that, let me know down below. Can you report them to like a board so that they can get that taken away from them? Because that's not okay, because who knows that this person doesn't just go to to another pain management center and tells people that these oils are going to cure her and actually ends up hurting them. This is why I need to dig a little bit deeper into the oil companies. I haven't really dug into them or done deep dives on them. That is coming though, trust me, but I haven't really done deep dives on them. And I really feel like there needs to be, because this isn't okay. It's not right. And I feel like me being someone who struggles with migraines, if I went to pain management, because that's literally where I'm at in my migraine journey, right? In getting migraines, my doctors have tried everything. We've tried Botox. We've tried the shot that you put in your leg. We've tried medication. We have tried literally everything you can think of. We've done CT scans. We've done bone scans. We've done everything, okay? And the next step is to go to pain management. And if I were to go to pain management and they were to tell me, take some oils, I would freaking listen. I would take some oils. Especially if I was someone that wasn't educated on oils or wasn't educated on MLMs, I would end up purchasing them. I'm not even gonna lie, because I have gone out there, like I've gone to Walmart and stuff and gotten like the lavender oil and all of that stuff to attempt to help, like the ones that are super light to where you put them in like your living room and they go everywhere, they're not super strong and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't want to say much more about this one. How do you guys feel down below? If doctors or practitioners, nurses, all these people, should they be allowed to sell their MLM products in their business? It's a rough one. It's a rough one, you guys. Here we go. This one says, MLM horror story. Hey Deanna, I love your videos and I watch the MLM horror stories every single Friday. Oh, she said, I already wrote to you about my experience, but I felt like I did a horrible job of writing it and I wanted to do a rewrite, but with a focus on just one story. This one involves my best friend. I apologize in advance. This is gonna be long. I'm loving it. Today is like all about the BFFs. So she said, okay, so before even getting to the MLM, I have to explain some backstory. There's a lot of it. My friend, let's call her Abby, and I met in our freshman year of high school. We instantly clicked, and I always felt like I had to walk on some eggshells around her. She was ticked off really easily and had some pretty serious jealous tendencies. Despite all of this, we were super close by the end of high school. A lot happened to me my senior year of high school / freshman year of college. My mom has been very suddenly diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and that took her, oh my gosh, in less than 5 months, right before my graduation. Later that year, my little brother was involved in a hit and run, and that nearly killed him. The stress from it caused me to end up dropping out of college. Abby and I were going for the same major, and she ended up quitting college too. On top of all of that, her dad had been fighting cancer for over a year at this point and was starting to decline more and more. It was a lot to deal with. Going back to her jealous tendencies for a moment, there are a bunch of things that had happened in the years after that seemed to feed her big green monster. I ended up dating my high school crush, and Abby started dating one of his friends from high school right after. Let's call him Nick. He also has some extreme jealous tendencies. The four of us would hang out constantly, but they proved to be pretty terrible friends. We had to tiptoe around their feelings all the time, and they would get really moody and upset or would get demanding every time they perceived we were doing better than they were. For example, when my boyfriend and I wanted to wait till marriage for certain activities and they didn't, they staged an intervention and said we were moving too slow for them. If my husband wasn't sleeping right now, I would be screaming, too slow for them. No one has a right to tell you what is moving too slow or too fast in your relationship. Yeah, if someone's telling you that, they need to, bleep off, because that's not right, and you should never feel bad for going too slow or too fast in a relationship. Like, no, what the fuck? Basically, this tells you all you need to know about their personalities before even getting into an MLM. By the time the MLM happened, I had gotten married to my boyfriend. They were our maid of honor and best man. And long story short, we paid for everything so they could be in the wedding, and they tried to even back out 2 days beforehand. They then called me a bridezilla for being upset that they tried to back out. We had also purchased our first home, which I feel was a huge catalyst in the way they ended up treating us. Randomly, in the middle of 2015, she got into the MLM called Zurvita. Zurvita? I'm just gonna call it Zer. They called this vitamin drink called Zeal, and as far as Abby and Nick were concerned, it was the holy grail of vitamins. All other vitamins paled in comparison to this one. They went on and on about it, and they said that their business would be making them 6 figures by the end of the year. They ended up going to their conference and came back determined to make us join them. By this point, I had already been suckered into Primerica and wasn't about to fall for another pyramid scheme. Abby kept telling me how I could get out of debt and be a millionaire before turning 24, and that it hurt her to know that I was in debt when she had the answer to all of my problems. She even tried to use her dad's cancer to sell it. I told her no. She then tried to get me to sell it to my family members. When I told her that I wasn't going to bother my family members for her benefit, she started treating me like I was some dumb fool. She pushed again for me to join and sell it to my friends and family. And when I told her no and gave her an explanation for why I wouldn't be a part of an MLM, she absolutely lost it. She called me a failure and told me to enjoy being in debt because I can't see what's right in front of me. This hurt me deeply because she knew I had some very deep-rooted self-worth issues and I was already struggling with feeling like a failure. She also told me that I had better not ask her for help when she got rich because she wouldn't even be in this country. Oh my gosh, she is a friendzilla, okay? We went back and forth with some really nasty stuff on both sides. I am not proud of that at all for some of the stuff I said. I tried to turn it around last minute and tried to say that we both were to blame for our friendship issues and I wanted to take responsibility for my part. She told me that the only problem with our relationship was me and that she hoped I would fail in everything I did in life. She also said that she had been doing me a favor for being my maid of honor. I was so distressed that my husband actually physically ripped my phone out of my hands and blocked her so she couldn't keep tearing me to pieces. I don't know what she said after that, but my husband wouldn't let me read it. Thank the Lord for my husband, y'all. She then posted on Facebook that she was so excited to be rid of me and how I had been dragging her down. I posted my own farewell message, but I tried very hard to be responsible and wish her well. She made sure she gave it enough time for me to message her before she blocked me. She didn't message me for about a month when she emailed me out of the blue asking about something she might have left at my house. It happened more than once. Even though I missed her, I kept her at arm's length as best as I could, making sure that when I replied to her questions, it was super professional and emotionless. About a month after that, she ended up emailing again, only this time she spilled her guts about everything that was going on in her life. It wasn't good. Despite all of that, she still believed that Zer would make them rich. She kept emailing me over a span of several months, and even though I had been determined to not become friends with her again, we ended up reconnecting. She tried several more times to get me to join, and I could tell she missed me since her heart wasn't really in it anymore. We are friends again, and even though she considers me her best friend, I still won't call her that. That experience really got me. She has matured so much since then, and I don't have to walk on eggshells anymore. But both her and her now husband still think MLMs are fine, and more or less still blame me for our friendship ending. I can admit that I said some terrible things to her in those moments, but it hurts that she thinks I'm entirely to blame. I still get panic attacks thinking about the experience sometimes. I'm hoping eventually that I can get through to the both of them about it and even get them to join our community, the anti-MLM community. Thanks so much for reading. Hopefully someone hears this will steer clear of MLM schemes. Oh my gosh, first off, I'm so sorry for your loss. Gosh, those always get me. I couldn't even imagine, and I hope that you and your family are doing better. I hope that your brother is doing better. Oh my gosh, that's so horrible. It all happened at one time, but let me just say something. You are not a bad person. I know that you said you were dealing with self-worth issues, and I want everyone that ever comes across my videos to know you're worthy. It doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter your career path. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. It doesn't matter what hair texture you have. It doesn't. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how much money you don't have. Every human being is worthy of so much more. And I'm so sorry that you went through a point in your time where you didn't feel worthy. And having a friend like that can really affect an individual because they're gonna keep blaming themselves. And I feel like you kind of did blame yourself for some stuff, but I want you to know that most people wouldn't even be friends with her. I definitely wouldn't have. If I had someone like that in my life, I would not be their friend. They would not be my best friend. They would not even have my phone number anymore. They would be blocked because that's so wrong for her to blame you for everything, but you are a grown adult, right? Because for you to go through all of that with the wedding and everything she's done and all of the MLM stuff to still be friends with her, you are an amazing human, because I know that's not easy. It's not easy to have bumps in a friendship or a relationship, and to be able to get over that just shows your maturity. So I'm really proud of you with that, and I thank you so much for sharing that story, because this whole best friend thing, and so many best friends getting in MLMs, and then when they're in that MLM, they now can't be your friend because you don't want to join them. And I really hope that those who are in MLMs start to realize it's okay if your best friend doesn't join you. You do you. Like, if you doing you is you being in your MLM, hey, you do you. But don't be mad at those, and don't blame those people who don't want to be in an MLM. Like, don't do that. It's just like you trying to tell someone, let's use this as an example. It would be like me, right? I'm going for my bachelor's in psychology. I have 4 classes left and I'm done. That would be like me yelling at everyone around me, being like, you're not going for psychology? Well, don't be mad at me when I'm rich. Don't be mad at me when I have all the money. No, I would never do that, because it's that person's choice whether they want to join or not. So I don't get it, but it corresponds with that person's income, right? Your best friend is going to make money off of you, so by you not joining, kind of like stunting her growth in their minds, and you don't support them. So hopefully as the time goes, people can realize if they're in an MLM that if your friend, your boyfriend, your family doesn't want to join, there's nothing wrong with that. So I feel like that's all I have to say, but that's going to be all for today's MLM horror stories. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below your thoughts. Which one resonated with you most? Do you have a horror story similar to them? Did you ever have issues with your BFF? And which story was like, quote unquote, the worst? Which one got your blood boiling the most? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like content like this. I upload 3 days a week, which is a lot. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday and Friday, I always talk about MLMs, and Wednesdays are lifestyle content. So if you are interested in MLM content, anti-MLM content, or content about lifestyle stuff, vlogs, I got all the stuff, organizing tips, everything on Wednesdays. And then don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in Monday's MLM video. Bye.